Hi, my name's Marissa. This is MKissa Creations and welcome to my Mid-Year WIP Parade. This is a video on a floss tube channel. Floss tube is primarily about cross stitch and WIPs are works in progress. I was gonna do a BAP parade, a big awesome project parade, but then I really just started getting my stuff together and it was like, this is mostly, these are mostly my WIPs. I like big projects, I cannot lie, and yeah, so come join me. I've got an iced coffee here, and I think we will get down to it. I do need to film a floss tube video also because I went to a retreat, but I really wanted to get a mid-year WIP parade done because I have been enjoying everybody else's and I wanted to contribute mine to the mix. So some of these projects have not seen progress yet this year, so we're going to see them again and I'll go through them quickly. Some of them have seen quite a bit of progress, and that part is really exciting, and that's why I wanted to do the mid-year WIP parade. Today is, let's see, Friday, July 5th. Yesterday was one of my no stitchy days. We were busy around the house and I was busy with prepping food and making sure that the girls were having fun, and we went for a family bike ride, so it was a non-stitchy day. It is another warm-ish day. We are not like sweltering hot, so that part is good. Yeah, I had a week of not stitching. I got pneumonia. I don't know who gets pneumonia in June, but apparently it's me. I don't smoke. I don't do things that are bad for my lungs, but apparently my body was not happy. I think it was just the stress of the turnover of the academic year for graduate medical education, and it just, my body after I was done with our graduation was like, you need a break and you're not going to take one, so we're going to make you. So I was in bed really staring at the wall for a couple days. Like even, I couldn't even like pick my own TV programming to have on. Like my husband would come in the room and like, be like, do you want to watch something? I'd be like, sure. And he would just pick a movie that he knew was like a feel-good movie for me and put that on. So that was really nice of him. Things are mostly cleared up, got a lot of antibiotics, so yeah, here I am, sounding mostly normal and ready to show you all my WIPs that I've got going. I did talk about in a couple floss tube videos ago that I have UFO'd a few things, so my WIP list is a little bit smaller, and then since the new year I've started a couple things. Some of them I've finished, but I have a few items that I have not finished yet, including a new big awesome project. So we will go through all of those, and we will start with a project who this will be their last WIP parade. It will be their very last WIP parade, and I feel that you will only see it a few more times on here, and that is Ink Circles 99. So I have been stitching on Ink Circles 99 since May 2nd of 2017. And it is finally almost done. Now, in my WIP parade to start the year, this was all I had completed. So 3 rows, and I had this shelf in here, right here. And this is where we're at now. So I've gotten quite a bit done. So 3 complete shelves, and now I have 3 partially completed shelves, and then I will be finished. And the motivation came from a friend of mine that I stitch with on Tuesday nights occasionally. And she was talking about, and she wasn't directing it at anybody, and she's a monogamous stitcher. She has like a home project and a work project. So she is stitching those too, but she stitches projects until they're done. And that's just her style. And everybody's style is okay. My style is okay, and your style is okay. And if you want to just have a lot of little starts, you can. But, and she wasn't directing the comment at me, but she was talking about how, like, sometimes people say, like, oh, I really want to finish this. Oh, I really want to finish this. But then we don't work on them. We just say, oh, I really want to finish this. And so I was like, I've been saying that about Ink Circles 99 for a long, long time. So you know what? It's time. I'm going to finish it. And so I've really been putting in the effort. I leave it, it's left on a Q-snap. I took it off today just so I could show you where I'm at. But it really, I mean, it's a lot of stitching. The bottles can be really confetti heavy. There's a lot of counting or making or changing. You either count a lot or you change your floss a lot. Those are kind of your choices because you want to make sure everything is in the right spot. So it's a big project. It seems like it's not going to be all that hard, and it really isn't, but because you're stitching that same shape over and over again, and then there's like little variations here and there, so you can't like fully get into the groove on it. It just is, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's an awesome project. It's a big, awesome project. And I've had a couple people reach out that have stitched, you know, one bottle at a time, like get a bottle done each day or a bottle done each week. And that's the way they went about it. I think Wide-Eyed Stitching Child, I think, stitched all the outlines first. So there's a lot of different methods to get this one done. And I'm just plowing through the end of it. It is, yeah, we're almost there. So close. So I'm really excited for that. And I will be sure to show you when it is done. And I am excited for it to be done. I will probably be sad when it's done. I don't know. I just want to not rage finish it. Like sometimes when you get like really close to an end of project, you're like, just, and then there's mistakes and it's, yuck. So, and then, oh, last week I ran out of 781 and then I went to Michael's on the 3rd to go find 781 and they didn't have it. And I was gonna order it. Luckily, I asked my eldest daughter if she could look in her floss box and see if she had 781, and she did. So I have 781. I don't have to run out of the house. And I will hopefully be finishing that this week. And I say that like I want to finish it. I am working on it. It's not going away. That one is going to get finished. And so thank you to my Tuesday night stitching friend who really like put that motivator in my head of like, if you keep saying that you want it done, like you got to work on it and it will get done. I mean, I've stitched, it took me forever. It took me like 3 years, 4 years to just stitch those first 3 rows. And now I've stitched almost 6 rows just in 6 months. So when you really start putting the stitches into a project, it gets done. All right, next is 99, or no, I'm sorry, next is Midnight Ride. It is from the 2014 Special Collector's Edition Halloween magazine from Just Cross Stitch. It is this pattern right here. It has a big moon. This is one that I did bring out before the end of last year and get some stitching into it. I have not pulled it out since then. So this is where we're at. Down went the magazine. And I will continue to put stitches into that. This is stitched on fabric that I dyed. It's a 32 count, just from Michael's. And I hit it with some gray and blue and some purple. So I'm excited to put more stitches into that, and I will. Like I just did kind of a quell of my WIP list, and that one still made the cut. So that one I started in, let's see, in 2017 also. That one was started on May 6th. So just after I started 99. Next is another big awesome project, and that is the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. And I did put work into this one since the last time you saw it. So I worked on the wording and the sun. And I think I finished up a couple little like rocks down here. So we're getting there. This I think just needs, so it needs some flying seagulls, the inside of the sun, and the inside of the L. So we're getting there. It's a slow going project for me. I pick it up and I work on it for a little bit and then I put it back down. The next block is a lot more sparse. So I'm really excited for that one, and hopefully it'll go kind of quickly and yeah, not have that like big mass of water underneath and then the big lighthouse too on top of it. So Shores of Hawk Run Hollow I started in October of 2017. So those are the 3 2017 projects that I have from carryover on my WIP list. So 99, Midnight Ride, and Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. So 99 is going to come off, which I'm really excited. So I think as far as plans go, since I'm knocking a 2017 project off, then next I'm going to focus for a finish on a 2018 project. So I don't know which one that is going to be yet, but we will get there. All right. So getting into 2018 WIPs. First, it was a new year, new start. I started Mirabillia's Sleeping Princess. It's kind of her Princess in the Pea princess. I don't see a lot of people stitching this one. I really love her. She is beautiful and the colors on her are beautiful. And I am stitching her on a 32 count Moana Lugana from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, or Hand Dyed by Steph, I think she is now. And this is where I'm at. So mattresses and then part of her sheets. She's coming along. This fabric is gorgeous. And I just found my cry neck that I had ordered for this. And so I think I'm gonna start working on some of the cry neck because there's like a lot of, I think her whole bed frame is cry neck, and so that would like go in this like hole right here. So I was gonna, this is my first and only Mira, so I was gonna do runner stitchers, my first Mira sale, and then I was gonna do Mira May, and she just didn't, I've been so focused on 99 that she's kind of the BAP that has gotten put to the wayside. So hopefully we can pick her up again at some point this year. I would like to pick her up and get some work done before the year is over and see a little bit of change in her. And then my next WIP on my WIP list is one of my UFO projects. And then on the 17th of January, I started another Ink Circles, Dreidel Dreidel, and this is a mandala style. And I worked on this at the beginning, or before the year ended, right before my WIP parade, and have not picked it up since. But this might be the one that I focus on finish for and try to get it off my WIP list so that it is complete. And this would be my 2018 focus to finish. And I am stitching it with Gentle Arts Cornflower. Doesn't want you to see that. There we go. And I love how it how the variegation is looking on that one. I love, these mandalas just have so many like hidden little things in them, I think, that you don't notice while you're just looking at it. But then when you, like as a whole, but then when you're stitching it, like new stuff really starts to like pop out at you, which I think is like really neat. And it's just on a like cream colored linen. I think it's a 28 count. All right. And then next for all creatures great, next is all creatures great and small. So that was September of 2018. This is Barbara Anna's All Creatures Great and Small. I am probably going to change the verse in it, and I don't know if Adam and Eve are staying or not yet. I have not stitched that part, so we shall see. I am creating a big pile on the floor. I did very recently pull this out, so you have seen it. I worked on all of this right here. So I stitched this grass, this tree, and I brought the border down. I still have to do like, I guess the pine cones maybe, or the flowers on the border that are missing, but I got the leaves done. But yeah, and this is on, I finally wrote down the 40 count French lace by Wichelt. So it's not my favorite fabric to stitch on, but it is really looking nice. Next up is Snug as a Bug by Clouds Factory. So it's designed as a pillow sampler, which I probably will finish it as a pillow. I was gonna put it in a frame, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not sure what linen this is, but I believe it is 32 count. And I just have this single moth done. I love this pattern. It's not going to get UFO'd. It just is one that has not had a huge priority focus yet, or for a while. Was happy to get that one moth done when I did, and we'll move on shortly to another one. All right, next up is, let's see, from December 22nd, 2018 is the token from Long Dog Samplers. So this is like a love anniversary wedding sampler. I am stitching it on 36 count Tycho from Picture This Plus, 1/2 with Silks4U PR126. And it ranges from like a 666 Christmas red to like a 816, I think. And I have stitched on this since you've last seen it in a WIP parade. So, show you where I'm at. Or what you. So I did this whole motif pretty much this year. And this is where I'm at. I love this piece. It is time to stitch more. Maybe this should be my focus on getting it done, because then I can start another long dog. And I know there's no rules in cross stitch, but I've made this rule for myself, and I've had 2 long dogs at one point going, and it's too many. 2 long dogs is too many long dogs. All right, next is Be Thankful. This is by Country Cottage Needleworks. I have not worked on this since the last time you saw it. It's on its last chance for staying in the WIP rotation, so hopefully it gets picked up this year, but this is where I'm at. It's on a 40 count, like really dark. I think it's like espresso. So gotta work on those pumpkins. And then another BAP. We are at July 2nd, 2019. Oh, this one just had a birthday. A peacock, a unicorn, a badger. This one's been out and about a lot lately with quite a few different stitchers have been putting some good work into this. I guess I should probably take that as some motivation to get mine out, because this is where mine is at. I did, right before the end of the year last year, put the bird and this flower in and start working on some of that background. And I am stitching this on 25 count lugana, which the bottom water on this project is like a satin stitch. So that is gonna be a problem for future Marissa to deal with when we get to that part and seeing how that is going to work out. I'll deal with it when I get there. Okay, so after peacock and unicorn and a badger, I've got my Christmas list. I started this on August 1st, 2019. Little thread hijackers. This is by Silver Creek Samplers. And this is on, I don't know what fabric this is. It's Picture This Plus, I can tell, but I don't know. This is where I'm at with that. Maybe it'll get some work done in it for Christmas in July. I haven't decided if I'm doing Christmas in July, even though it's already July 5th. I don't know, I like want to do the sales, but I also like don't want anyone to tell me what to work on. So I do stuff and I work on stuff, but it's just, I think I'm more motivated by seeing like other people pull out the same projects. So like when I'm seeing a lot of All Creatures Great and Small, I'll pull that out. Or if I see a peacock, a unicorn, a badger, mostly I just look at that bag. I don't pull that one out, obviously, or would have a lot more work done on it. For some reason, I love that stitch, and it's so beautiful, and it can be pretty easy because of the fill-in and how brightly done the pattern is, but it just doesn't call to me as much as some of my other large projects do. So when I get in that large project mode, I've been picking other things. Next on the list is Yuletide Shanty. I started another Christmas project. I started this one 10/28/19. And I do plan on stitching it as the drum. I am still working on the ship. It is on 36 count weathered shingle from R&R Reproductions, and this is where I'm at. I'm actually pretty close on the top part. The drum's gonna be a little bit more. I've got snowflakes and a moon with mistletoe and the ship to fill in, but not too shabby. It's pretty close to like what it needs to be. I did sub out the green, and I think mine looks more like the photo now, but it was originally charted in Garrison green, and I subbed it out for Oscar. So that is where that one's at. And again, maybe it will come out for Christmas in July. Next up is another New Year, New Start. So this is moving on to 2020. So this was 1/1/2020. And this is Night Walk Down from the Blue Flower. And I have worked on this one since you've seen it last. I really wish I knew what fabric this was. I think I went through some of my old Instagram posts and tried to find where it had what the color was, and I can't find it. But so here's where I am. So since you've seen it, I've filled in a lot of her dress. I had the outline of this flower stitched, but it filled it in, and I started on her cat. And I am pulling a mix of DMC, color and cotton, and it's just floss from Stash for this that like looks like the picture, because I think some of the flosses that she originally called for were special editions or harder to find or had changed since she called for them. So I have gone through a couple of different flosses, but the floss that I found for her dress is not the called for, but what I have actually looks a lot like the picture. So I love this pattern. It's beautiful, and it will see more work hopefully very soon. All right, getting into like major big awesome project territory right here. So Night Walk Down's pretty large. Let's see. It's not huge, but it has a thicker border. Actually, it's big. It's 256 by 151. So it's not small. And there's a lot of stitching in there. It's really pretty. So this was the intro to the big project run. So after I started Night Walk Down in January of 2020, in March of 2020, right after market, I started Heartstring Sampleries, Consider the Lilies. So I started this on March 25th, which was like the height of the yucks. This was like my saving grace. So I got those words in pretty quick. I am not an overly religious person, but this phrase just brought calm for me during that time. I am stitching it on a found linen. It's not cotton or linen. It's like, I think it's a synthetic material. It's very thin and kind of floppy. I found like 3 yards of it at a thrift store. When you measure it out, it comes out to like a 37 count. But here is where I am. So past the halfway mark, especially in the lilies, that was like a huge milestone for me when I realized I was done with more than half of the lilies. And last time you saw it, my house was empty. And now all of my brickwork is filled in. It's beautiful. I love this brick house. And then I finished up the flowers, the lilies that were down at the bottom. And my last like motif type sampler that I was motivated to stitch on was All Creatures Great and Small. So this one will probably come up next. It's been kind of calling to me, but again, I want to finish, I just need to finish 99 and then like my head can clear for other things that I would like to stitch on. All right, continuing the big awesome project train. Next I started two Hades. June 7th, and then again July 3rd. So on June 7th, I started Mini Which Way. The artwork is by Molly Harrison, and it's charted by Haid. I think it's still available. I haven't looked on there yet. But I get a lot of comments on this one. A lot of people haven't seen it before. I love this. So this, as far as Haid's go, especially with the sky, is a perfect, in my opinion, and for the way that I stitch Haid's full coverage. Well, I guess not a peacock, unicorn, and a badger, but that one's different because it's got like the really like stark outlines and then the fill-in. But as far as like full coverage pixelated projects go, this one is great for the way that I stitch because it's a perfect amount of confetti, but then like giant fat blocks of the same color. So I'm going to show you where I'm at. I have put into this piece this year, so since you've seen it last, 877 stitches. And then let's just talk for a second about how I stitch Haid's and why I like this so much for the way that I stitch Haid's. So what I do is I start with like the closest missing stitch that I have to this top corner or to an edge. And then I stitch that piece of floss until it's done. And it allows me, especially on a project like this where there are a lot big chunks of the same color, I'm not like stopping just because I finished a 10 by 10 square. I'm continuing that, and then it allows, there's no like stark lines on this anywhere from stitching in rows. I don't have to like feather the edges and then go back because my feather like left out one stitch of another color. Like it ends up stitching really quickly. So I pulled this out to stitch this week while I watched Jessie Marie Does Stuff's WIP Parade. If you have not watched it yet, she filmed a 4-hour WIP parade where she went through all of her WIPs. And if you're like me and you're somewhat familiar with Jessie Marie Does Stuff stitching, you know she is like a full coverage champion. She finished one last year, I believe, and I think she's going to finish another one this year. She's stitching on a beautiful Jeremiah Kettner piece that has been retired from Haid, but and that was, I think her last Haid finish was also by the same artist. But I knew going into watching her WIP parade that if she was stitching or she was showing off her Haids and her full coverages, that I would be envious of them if I wasn't stitching on one. So I just busted out my Mini Which Way because I hadn't stitched on it yet this year. And during her WIP parade, I got 672 stitches put into this project. Today I did another like 205, which those two numbers combined together got me another percentage finished. So the last time you saw this, it was just a little over 9% done, and now it's just a little over 10% done. So it is a mini, so it's not a giant piece. I think the middle is like about right here when you are like looking at the pattern. So kind of the apex of the moon, which you're starting to see the outline of. All right, then the July 3rd start, so we have another birthday that just happened, was another Haid, and that was Tiki Beach Sunset, and that is artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I will put a picture of what that looks like completed because mine is only 3.4% done, I think. But here's where this is at. So this has had work done since you've seen it in the last WIP parade. let's see, it has had 3,762 stitches added to it this year. So the full first page is done, which is like ends right at this shell lamp. And then in my method of stitching out from the corner, I wanted to stitch something other than what I was stitching on. So like continuing to, let's see, where to put the thingamadoodle? Okay, so hopefully this helps me hold it a little bit better. Okay, so like I didn't want to stitch on the stuff that was like coming in this area. I was in the mood for something new. So what I started doing was picking a color, whatever next color was on the top border, and then stitching that down. And I occasionally would, if my floss ran out and I wanted to like, I only had like a couple more stitches in the area or something like that, I would pick up another strand and then stitch that strand out as well. But I love this piece. I will keep getting stitches put in this. I would like to get this to the 5% mark by the end of the year. So that does mean I need to put quite a few stitching days into it. It is a like 360,000 plus stitch. So getting it to that 5% mark is a lot. But because I'm already at like 3.5, it's not totally unreasonable. But yeah, it's just, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. There is an Instagrammer that is working on, I think, the Max Colors version of it. And I will put her in the description box along with this chart name. And you'll find all of the charts and my WIP list, as long as I don't run out of characters, in the drop box down below, and anybody that I kind of have talked about like during that that part of the WIP parade. So, oh, just holding this makes me want to start stitching on it, especially since I was stitching full coverage yesterday or 2 days ago and today. It just makes me want to stitch it even more. I get on, obviously I get on full coverage kicks. I started those two like pretty much back to back. I'm sure that there, at one point there were some other ones in the WIP list, but I guess I can talk about that quickly for a second. So this is my cross stitch book. It's a, what do you call them? Like a lectern, 1917. And originally I had started like tracking like all the flosses. This was like the beginning of bullet journaling being super popular. And I was tracking all my flosses. But then what I started doing was making my WIP list in it. And so I would have when I started it and when I finished it. And I kept that one single WIP list going for a while. I left some pages after it. But then I decided it was harder to get like a full WIP count that year. So then from the this started the carryover from 2019 to 2020. So then I would write how many I was carrying over from from each year, and what my WIP total was. And I started doing WIP parades on my birthday, but now I'm doing them at the beginning of the year and mid-year. So then each year I would have it where I have my finish dates, and the ones that didn't get finish dates would get pulled over to the next year. So I have some other notes like priority WIP lists and things like that in between years. And like this year I'm tracking how many stitches per day I stitch on my heids on a page. And so then here's my end of 2020 WIP list for my WIP parade. And then my carryover stats. So I only had 1 left from 2016, 4 from 2017, of which I still have 3. So I can kind of see what I carried over year to year, and then it just continues. So then I got some ripped pages in here. I must have pulled something out. So then my 2023 WIPs and my carryovers started with 30 projects carried over from 2022 to 2023. And then we have this year. This year I carried 24 projects. Carryover stats, 24. And then 3 from 2017, 7 from 2018, 6 from 2019, 6 from 20, 1 from 21, 1 from 23. 2022 was like not a stitching year for me. It was like a really bad work year, and like just not like it was not a productive year. So I don't even have a WIP list from that year. It just was not great. I didn't really start anything. So we have this year's WIP list. So I just started over again. Anything that's a carryover goes onto the WIP list. Anything got finished, that just lives back on the old WIP lists, and I can access that if I want to because they're all right here. They're all in my little book. And so then this year I have my 2024 Haid progress. So it has which dates I've worked on the Haid, how many stitches I worked that day, and then the added total of what those WIPs are. All right, so now we are through the Haids, but we still have a couple more big awesome projects to go. I started One Nation, another birthday WIP. I started One Nation by Bygone Stitches on July 4th, 2020. And this I have put work into this year. The very beginning of the year I put work into this one. And I have 3 states done and 3 stars. I finally decided on a color for the stars. It is just kind of a, I don't have it right here, but it's like a 30, it's in like that high 3860 or 3680, whatever, of the DMCs. It's just a kind of like off-white, sort of like a dirty white DMC. And then the blue and the red are Victorian Motto sampler threads. And then the fabric is a piece of the same thing that Lily's is stitched on that I dyed with tan RIT. But the gray and the synthetic made it kind of like this, I don't know, like a deep reddish color. You're getting a pretty good example of it. All right, getting closer. The next WIP I started 1820. It's another pretty big project. It's Quaker Pumpkins from Hello from Liz Matthews. And this is on a Fiber on a Whim fabric, of which I don't know the name, but I like to refer to as Murky Light. It is like a purple and green, gray, grungy fabric. And I color converted this into jewel tones with the help of Stephanie from Just Keep Stitching. And I will show you those colors and what I have completed so far. So I've just the start of one pumpkin, and it is in Purple Majesty, I believe. Yep, from Weeks Dye Works. And these are all my other colors that I'll be using. So those, this one will come out when it comes out. I don't know, I haven't been motivated to work on it lately, but it's not leaving the WIP list. It will stay around for a little while. Let's see. Okay. Then my sole start of 2021 that still exists on the WIP list is my Cryptid Sal from the Witchy Stitcher. So I've worked on this year. I finished up the border. I know I stitched Nessie this year. And I changed her name. I think it was charted as Loch Ness, but that's the name of the lake. Like, she's the Loch Ness monster. That's not her name. I mean, that's her name. But if you're not calling the Loch Ness monster, you're just kind of referring to the lake. So I just changed it to Nessie. Made more sense to me. Nothing wrong with the original pattern or going the original way, just in my brain. This is on a piece of color and cotton, 32 count, from a Christmas box. I think it was called like Christmas Gold or something like that. And it's like a gold with some like rusty spots. Anyways, finishing up the border on this one was huge. I have 5 cryptids left to stitch, and oh, she's so cute. Cute she is. I'm excited to finish this one, and I think it will be back in my hand fairly shortly. So filming your own WIP parade is a great way to motivate yourself to stitch your own projects. Watching other people's WIP parades can sometimes be a little bit dangerous in that you might want to pick up a bunch of new projects. But right now I've been pretty good at focusing on what I have and finishing what I have, and I'm really excited to finish 99, like I've said a million times. And I've got quite a few projects, even bigger ones, that are getting closer and closer to finishes, so I am excited to kind of knock those out off the list. All right, then we have no 2022 starts, because like I said, 2022 was kind of a bunk year for me. Just not a motivating stitchy year, just kind of like meh. But in March of 2023, I started New Shoots. It is an Emma Congdon pattern. It came from, it was a magazine pattern, and it is being stitched on, ooh, there's the floss for it, who is this? Whose fabric is this? I'll put it below, I forget. It's Celadon, I know that. It was a fabric of the month. And this is where I'm at with New Shoots. And it's spring bulbs. So it has like the dates and the timing of when all the different bulbs pop up in your garden, which I love because we have quite a few bulbed flowers in our yard that kind of came with our house, and then we've added a few of our own since then, but just the fact that these ones were already here when we came in. So on here is grape hyacinth, which we do have, mini daffodils, which we have, and crocus, which we do have, and then tulips. So hybrid tulips and late tulips are on here, and Spanish bluebells, which I don't know if we have those. I think we have the grape hyacinth, and the Dutch iris, which I don't know if our iris is a Dutch iris, but it bloomed for the first time this year, which was really exciting since we moved in. It's in a weird, like, shady spot, and we've kind of just been letting the greenery grow for a couple years and hasn't really done anything. And then this year we ended up with a beautiful flower. So that was exciting. All right, so that was my sole leftover piece from 2023. So this year, I've started 7 patterns, but 4 of those I have already finished. So you're not gonna see those. My New Year, New Start this year was the Erica Michaels sampler book, which this is the pattern. The pattern is actually the instructions for making the book. The patterns for all of the different letters and the different stitches are available for free, I believe, on the Erica Michaels website. I think, yes, ericamichaels.com/the sampler book with hyphens. I will put that below in with this pattern. So I have A is for Algerian eyelet, and a couple weeks ago I filmed a tutorial on how to make a row of Algerian eyelets without crossing over the back of them and blocking the beautiful hole that you just made. So if you are interested in that, please check that out. I'll put that in the link below too. I'll put a link for that video down there. And then just know that, like, I did zoom in a little bit more after the beginning of that tutorial because you definitely need to see it up close. But it ended up turning out really great, and it was just a really cool thing to learn how to do those. The words for what stitch it is are stitched 1 over 1. So on 32 count, that was like pretty intense. I did that at one of our little stitchy meetups, and my eyeballs were whoa at the end of that. But it looks beautiful, and I'm excited to start on B, which is for the butterfly stitch. So that one is next, and I'm just gonna go in order through the book. So I started that, like I said, that was my New Year, New Start for this year. My next start that I haven't finished yet is 324 from Works by ABC. So that's by Arlene Cohen. She is Works by ABC, and she created this pattern that uses 324 different DMC flosses. I am stitching it on a piece of 18 count Michaels Ada, and I am stitching it 2 over 1, and here's where I'm at with that. So I'm getting into the purples, which is really exciting. It was a lot of pinks. I do have a couple little holes that I am trying to fill in where I can. Each time I go to Michaels, I grab a new floss if they have it. They haven't been having the flosses that I've needed. I don't know if everyone's stitching the same thing, or if just some colors seem to be more popular than others at the moment. Yeah. And then the next thing that I started was Lola Crow's Deadly Aquarium Sal, which is a stitch along. I am now considering myself officially behind because I have not stitched last week's release, and this week's release came out today. I am stitching this on 40 count Frozen Fractals by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Steph, and this is where I'm at. So there's like a big piece of rock with coral all over, or sea anemones all over it, that needs to go right here. And then a new one is probably coming out as I'm filming. So I am now officially behind, but that's okay. It's beautiful and it will get done. I absolutely love her charting. It's gorgeous. I can't say it enough. The backstitch can get a little intense, and I've heard it's pretty intense on this next section that I need to pick up. But her charting and the backstitching ends up being so worth it that it's not like terrible to do. All right, my last WIP, I started on June 7th of this year, and it is the needle book portion of this stitch from Little House Needleworks. This is a 2010 chart. It's called Fresh from the Garden. So I am going to stitch both, but right now I'm starting here, and apologies, but I have not taken it out of its little hoop, which I probably should have because these hoops leave marks like whoa. But I have a little start of the B and the sewing pin cushion and a couple of needles done. and it's on a 40 count latte, I think. And I'm just pulling flosses, color and cottons, I think I've pulled for this one. Color and cottons, and then I have one Gentle Art and one Crescent Colorworks, an oldie that was hanging out in there. So all right, we have made it to the end of my WIP parade, my mid-year WIP parade. Thank you for joining me. I owe you a floss tube video. It's coming. I have to tell you about Stitch Main and what I've been working on. My girls this morning, they were so cute. They grabbed the iPad and they made their own little floss tube video, and they just sit up there and they show their projects. They both have been like working fairly sporadically on like some magazine stitches and things like that. And then my little one's just doing like lines, and she's practicing learning X's. My older daughter has learned how to do X's, and she's reading patterns now, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's so cute. They're so cute. So someday I shall have some floss tube buddies to film with. We're not quite ready for them to decide whether they want to be on camera themselves or not yet. So that will wait a little bit longer. But thank you for joining me today. I hope you're enjoying the mid-year WIP parade season as much as I am. And I hope that this video brought you some motivation or some inspiration, and I will catch you next time. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great day. Keep stitching.